So this is an after service debrief. So here I am showing that there are many presets. You just click on the channel there and pick the presets. There's a whole bunch of them made for the church. So it makes it very easy. You can see we picked up one there, and it has the picture and gives the EQs and all that stuff. In this case, it was for Nate. So be wise to use that. And clicking over on the right hand side, top section where it says main is output. And just below that where it says all auto today, there are sets of inputs. So there I'm clicking on the top and I've picked AUX2, and it makes it easy. If you're doing one person to many different mixes, like say in-ear monitors to 3 different people, then it's best to go in through, like say Nate's vocal, go into the EQ and then drag it up. Whenever you're dragging between the pages, it's important, I found, to drag on the gray areas. So here we're picking AUX5, for example, and that's the other way to do it on the right-hand side. And that would pick a whole bunch of things into one person. So say a new person came into the group, stuck their in-ears in, and they need some different things pushed into that. It would make more sense to go from that angle. So pick the orange on the right-hand side there. Again, I'm showing here, it's very important that you drag in the gray areas to go from screen to screen. So here we're pushing one, like Nate's vocal, into AUX5, AUX7, and some increasing the effects. And it would be pushing his vocal into those effects. So these are the, not the FX returns, they're the FX sends. So there's a bunch of those all go in. So here we're doing AUX2, and you can see that it warns you with colors around there too. So if you pick AUX2, and then you can put different people's, like say Nate's, up into there. Here we're picking AUX2 and AUX1, sorry. Oh, AUX1 and AUX2, I was going to say, are these monitors. So the main up top above the AUX1 is the left rights, and then they use AUX1 and AUX2 for the monitors. So say Jim's drumming and you want to throw a monitor in him, it'll be either AUX1 or AUX2. The rest of them, AUX3, 4, or 5, and up to 8, are all separate in-ear monitor mixes that can be used. I believe one of them is used for the recorder that they use. So I don't have that recorded on here. What channel, what the AUX channel is, but it's one of them. Here I am going to show the routing. So at the top you can see where that little green arrow is, and you click on there, and then you make sure you pick input A. Input B is USBs, but input A is a 1-to-1, so you can see all the way down there. It goes, if it was mic pre number 25, it goes up to channel 25. Channel 25 is just a channel in the board. It's a place, really not a physical thing at all. It's virtual. Okay, here I picked the very top left icon, and it's a global overview of everything. Good for just an oversight once everything's set up. Those 3 icons, okay, now the top middle one and the top right one. So your home base is that middle icon. It brings you back to out of this here, which again I'm dragging using that gray area. Don't drag inside anything else, or you'll be in trouble because it'll change a value within there. Here you can you can see that AUX5 is picked here. And trying to remember. So here is a way of turning the gate off. So you can see in the strip, or you could, in the strip where the gate would be on. So it's one of the ways to do that. Here we're back to the mains, and again at the top left I've got the set of 3 channel sliders icon picked, and at this point it's the mains on the right output section, and that is just like any of the other buses, like the aux sends and that sort of thing. A main is just one of those. So once you have the main picked, there we go. So it's picked, and then you can, whatever you pick there for sliders on the faders is what's coming out the mains, of course. It's just something to remember. So AUX5 here is one of the in-ears, and we're quickly adding some of the various things. Oh yeah, on the right-hand side there is a master for that aux channel. So you need both. You need some of the desired channels up a bit, and then you need to raise the master for that to go out the that aux mix. Here we've got a view group. This is a selection of desired channels that you want. I use them to select all the channels that are active for that day, and it makes it easy to show them, as opposed to a subgroup, which is a completely different thing. Put the channels on that we're actually using, because the other ones can be a little bit iffy. All has too much. So at the bottom, you're picking the outputs, okay, sets of outputs. So there's aux, all the aux channels. So if you wanted to raise, like say, a bunch of them all up a wee bit or something like that, the sends, then you would come into this. If you want to do FX, these would be the sends. So not the returns, but the sends, the single sends. This is the subgroups and the VCAs, in this case, voltage controlled amplifiers. Okay, there I'm again going up to all and raising the slider. That any sliders that are up, you can then click auto. It doesn't work for the VCAs apparently. I couldn't get it to, I pulled all these down, and then when I did the auto, go out and then back into auto again, you can see that it actually still has the VCAs there, but channel 4 and 6 are up, and they're the only ones that show for channels. So that's again where I like to do the today. Okay, I'm going to be looking now at the upper section here. You can see there's 3 sections there, and the left one is the overview view. The next one is the mixer view. That's the safety that I always go back to. And this one is the channel view. I'm going to be concentrating right now on the overview view. You can see here that there's a section. So this whole top section is for outputs. Okay, so it'd be like to the in-ear monitors here, AUX. The AUX 1 and 2 would be the wedges, the monitors. Down in here is all the input section. Okay, so channels 1 to 16, and then up to 17 to 32. And then there's some FXs here. And there's returns 1 and 2. So what I'm going to do here is just start off with, you can see these little blobs at the bottom here. If you touch those, so this is the main. If I go to here, main, you can see what all the various sliders are set at. Okay, so it's very handy. You can bring the mains up, for instance, here. I could come up to, like, say 25%. If I come over to the mixer view, and if I go to main and all, you can see there all is picked. You can now see what these are all set to. Okay, so I've got, come back over here. So you can see 3 and 6 are up. as well as the main here is at about 25%. So here you can see that the main is up to 25%. If I bring that up to Unity, and if I come back over to the overview view, you can see that that's followed up here. Bring it back down. If I come back over to the mixer view, it's back down. If I come back over to here, the overview, any of these that I touch are what I'm working on. So if I go to AUX4, say AUX3, I'll click on there and you can see all the levels that are going out there. So this would be all the inputs that are coming into AUX3, and then this would be the level that's being pushed out there overall. So again, this is an output. So if I bring this right up full and it's AUX3, and if I come back over to here and I go to AUX3, you can see that this is way up. If I come back down, come back over to AUX3 over here, you can see it's back down again. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, when I go to, like, say, the effects, if I go to FX1, and if I come back over to the mixer, you can see it's automatically switched this over to FX1. Here you can pick the various channels, what are going to the effects. I can come back over. So that was channels 3 and 5. And if I come here, here, and channels 3 and 5 are what's going into the effects. You can see that the if I bring this, so what happens is I believe that these mix gets pushed out at this level when this is selected. So if I bring this down to about 20%, if I come back over to here, the mixer view, you can see that the it's being pushed out. So this overall mix is being pushed out at about this level. If I bring this up again to about there, and I come back over to the overview view, you can see that this is raised quite a bit up, and over here quite a bit up. If I bring this up full, come back over to here, you can see that this is full. And now what happens here is there's also, so all these are going out to the effects processor here, and then the effects processor is processing all of these inputs at this level, and then it's kicking back a signal back into the mixer. Okay, so again, that becomes an input back into the mixer from the effects processor, and this is what's being fed back into as a combined signal back into the mains. Okay, so if we bring the mains up, and if we bring the effects return up, it's going to increase the percentage of the effect signal into the mains. So that's basically how that works. If I go to, oh yeah, I wanted to show you the mute groups too. So basically if I mute, like, say, channel 8 here, and that's an easy way of muting channels. And if I come to mute group 1, or mute group 2, if I go back to, sorry, the mains here, mute group 1, mute group 2, I guess I've lost all my mute groups. Let's go back and set up a mute group. So go here, and I'll come back up to here, and I'll assign mute group 1, and call it MG1, and I'll just put 1, 3, 5 on there, and then I'll do a mute group 2, and MG2, and then I'll go 2, 4, 6, 8. And then, so I've got those two mute groups set up. So now if I come back over to the overview view, and if I hit mute group 1, you can see that 1, 3, 5, and also I had 8 picked. So 8 is like blood from your finger. It's pushed and it stays there, not being overridden by these. You can see that this is a slightly bloodier red color. And if I click that off, then that mute will go off. But if I, like say, had all the mutes on here, well, let's just do that. Oh, we did it already on mute group 2. We've got 2, 4, 6. If I turn off mute group 1, I've got just 2, 4, 6, 8. But if I also make, like say, 13 muted, then if I unmute, mute, unmute, mute, mute, unmute, mute. If I were to mute, like say, channel 4, it really does need to be muted. So no matter whether you turn these on or off, mute group 4 stays muted. Just so to come back to this for a minute. So if I have like FX1, this basically is the slider for the return of this. If I have this picked, then this becomes the slider for the return of this. Whichever one I have picked here, say FX3, if I come back to the mixer view, that's what gets picked over here. So it's affecting it on both sides. Okay, and then back to this area here. So these are the mute groups here. This is the out. This is the ins, a whole bunch of ins. So you're picking what set of ins here. If we did all autos, any of the sliders that are up. This could be like today, and this would be, I'm going to set DEF up as being vocals, instruments, and other, so that the in-ear adjustments can be done on people's phones. These are the sets of masters. So if I come to here, and if I go to the effects, for instance, these are all the effects levels. So you can see them all at once. I believe it's what's being fed into the masters, left and right. If we come to left and right, you're just seeing the one because that's all there is. Up here, these two work together. You got to remember that, okay? So if you pick, like, say, for instance, somebody's in-ears on 5, and if you have, for instance, A, you're not going to see anything here, but it still is working on AUX 5. But if you want to see all the channels, pick all. And then you can work on all of them. Again, if you raise the sliders of all the ones that you need, the auto can work, but I like to make this today. So I go in here and then assign, and I make, let's see now, view A, let's go back here a minute. Yeah, A, B, C. Okay, so A is going to be today. So I'm going to pick A. Oops, sorry. I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to assign A. So A is going to be called today with 1, 13, 26, 18, and maybe 32 with an effects. Okay, so we close that, and that's exactly what we see on here when we pick today. If I go back to all, of course you see everything. And if you go to auto, you see nothing right now because nothing was raised up. If we come back to all, and if I raise up, like say 4 and 6 just a wee little bit, and if I now come over here and go to auto, 4 and 6 show up here. Okay, so if the sliders are off 0 on these, then you'll see it in auto. It's a bit dangerous because if you bring them down to 0, you don't see them. But anyways, and then these are the master of what goes out. So if you were to set somebody's in-ears, like say on aux 5, and these are the two channels that are going out to it, if this isn't up, they aren't going to get anything. So it has to be a combination of that and what's being fed out. So if I go, like say, up to about here, and then aux 5, we want to come back over here. And if we go to pick, and then we pick aux 5, we can see the 4 and 6 a little bit there. Now the problem being, we can see very quickly in here that this is muted, okay? So that would be a problem. So basically we can come in here and unmute everything. I think up in here, yeah, I think you can do mutes here. I'm not sure what the 1 to 4 is. But there's some stuff that you could do quick here that you can clear all the solos. The effects, I guess this is all the effects muting. If you're having a wonky effects on one of the 4, you can mute that effects unit. Yeah, you can see that down in here too, the effects. So it's just a quick way of muting things and soloing. That's about all for that right now. Oh yeah, and then there was something about backups. So shows would be your different bands. So you could have like say 3 different worship leaders with a band. They would be your different shows. Okay, so you'd load the show for that, and you can store them offline. And load the current one, give it a name, give it a picture, that sort of thing. Now, as there's maybe different weeks or different people on that band, you could do a store snapshot of all the settings within that, okay? Now, if you wanted to not, as part of that snapshot, you could basically do a channel safe. I think that's how that works, or maybe it's when you're restoring it, you do a channel safe to not overwrite that channel. If that doesn't work right, just do it again, do it safe and then restore the snapshot. So yeah, that's the different bands. So if like say there was a person doing sound for a whole bunch of different bands, they could have one of these for each band. And then each time they play in a venue, they could mark a snapshot for that venue. If they repeat that venue, then they can just pull up that snapshot for that venue. So that's kind of between the shows, which are really more bands, and then you have your snapshots, which are versions of that band, what day, what venue, that sort of thing. And you can put notes about that, like, if the doors open at 6, you could put that in here or something like, I don't know, like there's a ground loop that you want to avoid plugging stuff into a certain channel. You can put all that in here. And these can be stored online too. Somehow, I'm not sure where that was. Yeah, there's an import export here. So you can save your shows, which are the bands, different bands, and then within each of those shows are a bunch of snapshots. So you can pick the snapshot from within that. And getting back to this screen, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. I think this return one too, it's coming back from an effects unit, so I don't think it has anything to do with the auxes. That's my thought. So these inputs all work with, auxes going out and also with effects, like it's what channels are going to the effects. But when the effect is done and comes back, that's when this slider here makes more sense. And that's why it's also in the input section. So these are all coming in, from the various XLRs, going out to the various in-ear monitors, wedges on the floor, These are all outputs. There's the main outputs left, right. They're also going as a group or a bus out to one of these effects units. So if we pick the effect unit, and then you've got these various signals going out to that effect, it gets processed. Think of a processor right here. So all these get fired off to this processor and then comes back down and into here. And then this is as a single unit raised or lowered and gets balanced with what's coming out the mains.